Hello, this is the final lesson in the series, and the idea of today's lesson is just to give you some few tips on revision for the assessment at the end of this unit. So the idea is you've got to make sure you can recall knowledge, and we're going to sort of talk about exam technique. So first of all, look back on your workbooks that you've just completed from the previous 7 lessons. And just make sure you know your key terminology. So it's just thinking about what is the best way that you learn. Now you can make sure that you retain the information. So you can use flashcards. You can sort of just draw them up yourself and cut them up yourselves. Have flashcards where you have the key term and maybe the definition on the other side, so that you're constantly testing yourself. You could draw mind maps, so where you have location, what are the factors determining the location, sole trade, for example, the types of ownership, what is it, what are the advantages and disadvantages of being a sole trader, partnership, private limited company. You could work at reducing and summarizing your notes, just being for each definition, trying to put a couple of key words in there that you can remember, so that it makes it easier in the future for you to revise. You can use online resources if needed. Now, we've put down and we've told you about Seneca on the Business Edexcel GCSE, and also BBC Bite Size, clicking on the Business GCSE section. There's a whole range of resources that you can use. So you're going to have in the exam, you're going to have multiple choice questions. Now think about those. Make sure that you always put an X in the right spot of the answer, because remember, when these get marked for real and next year, which is not too long now, it just gets put through a machine, and if it's not done correct, even you may have circled it incorrectly and not put an X, you will not get any marks, even though you've got the correct answer. So be very, very careful. You've got your explain 3-mark questions. Make sure you make a point. So what could be explain a benefit of or a drawback, and then 2 sentences developing the point. So 1 point for the benefit or issue that you've got, and then 2 explaining why it's a benefit or why the issue is a drawback. General rule all the time: 3-mark questions, 3 sentences. 6-mark question, there's 2 ways of doing that. You can develop 1 point using 5 or 6 sentences. Again, we're looking for that a point, a sentence. Now you can either, as we've said before, you can either write about 1 point well, and that's what we would prefer, with 5 linked developments, but sometimes it's easier to develop 2 points with development. So almost treating it as 2 3-mark questions. So good connectives, because, leading to, and therefore. So you're developing an argument. On the 9-mark question, you're following a similar process. You're making a point, you link it, and then you're explaining it. Ideally 4 sentences, but you're looking at 3 to 4 sentences. Make another point, and then 3 or 4 sentences, and then you still got your keywords there, such as because, therefore, this could lead to. So you always, in 9-mark questions, you'll have 2 options. So attempt to write 4 sentences on one option, then 4 sentences on the second option, and then justify using the cases. The key thing all the time, all of this, is using the source material that you've been given to make a justification in context. Now, ways of answering these types of questions. One where it could be an advantage of each option, a paragraph on the advantage of option A, a paragraph on option 2, and then make a justified decision. And in an ideal world, that's what we like, because it will make it easier for you to make a justified recommendation if you talked about the advantages of both. Or you could do an advantage of an option, and then the disadvantage of that option, and then your third paragraph. So if you don't understand one of the options or one of the choices that you've been given on a question, option 2 is best, but generally speaking, structure 1 is a one that will get you the most marks, because that's a one that's easy to make a judgment because you've compared 2 options. Right, that is it. So now complete the test, do it in time conditions, and then use a blue or black pen, and then look at maybe an open book just to make sure that you've got the correct answers. Right, so that's what we've finished, majority of 1.4. When you come back, we'll be looking at marketing mix. In the meantime, that's it for now, and have a